Me giving love to one person isn't taking away love from this other person, and just realizing like I have the capacity to give a lot of love.
Welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad you're here. Today we're talking about Seeking Brother Husband episode 5. That clip at the beginning, that was Kim explaining why she is able to have more than one relationship. And that is because she just has enough love to give. So I'm going to start off with Kim and Dustin. In this episode, Kim is really trying to reconnect with her very conservative family. You know, her parents do not approve of her lifestyle. So we start off this episode seeing her on a video call with her brother Mike. Now her brother Mike, he's a little bit different from the rest of the family. He's more accepting of who they are. So he's really supportive of her. And we see Kim talking to Mike about how she wants the family to come visit them, and she doesn't think they're going to come. So she's basically asking Mike to put in a good word for her and try to get, you know, her other siblings and her parents to come out for a visit and spend time with them so they can reconnect. And he says that he will. Now, this is something that's really emotional for her. You can see she wants her family's support. There's a scene where she gets off the video call and she's crying. So she really wants this. And I imagine she also really wants this for, you know, her daughter. I can't remember if they have one kid or two. But I know she has, you know, she has kid, at least one kid. I'm sure she wants that child to spend time with their grandparents. So I can understand why she's emotional about this. So we sort of fast forward. We have that video call and we see them getting ready for a barbecue. And when it starts off, they don't really say what they're doing outside of, you know, getting this food ready for this cookout. But we find out that it's really for her whole family. She wants them all there and she wants them all to come, and they're supposed to be doing that. So we hear a knock at the door in the show, and it's just Mike. It's just that one brother. Her parents are not coming. The siblings have all made excuses saying they're busy, and you know, that's it. No one else is coming. It's just him, and they seem happy to see him, but I'm sure, you know, you can tell Kim is really disappointed. She wants to reconnect with her parents. On the other side of this, though, I will say in defense of her parents, you know, it can be hard, I'm sure, to find out your kid is having multiple partners. And I'm still guessing that Dustin is. Even though they haven't brought that up, there's a part of me that just believes that they probably really have a completely open relationship. That's probably difficult for her parents to hear if they're very conservative. And so I think they've basically told her they don't want to hear about it, but I'm guessing that it just doesn't go down that way, or they're just not comfortable. I don't know. I hope they are able to reconnect with her because it's really important. But before I move on, because that's really all that happens with them in this episode, before I move on, I do want to point something out. They have this cookout, and there's this scene where they're sitting there, and I'm going to put in a picture, but like, there's no side dishes. Like, where are the side dishes? There's no potato salad or coleslaw or macaroni and cheese. There's not even a bag of potato chips. Like, did anyone else notice that when you were seeing it? Like, where's the other food? So that is really it for Kim. It's just trying to reconnect with her family. So from here, we're going to move over to Shara. I have to tell you, she is probably my favorite person on the show, or my favorite woman on the show, I guess. I just think she has a very bubbly, pleasant personality. She seems so funny. I really enjoy watching her. In this episode, we find out that Shara is still dating Valentino and that things are really working out for them. Now, remember, this is the guy that in their last episode took her on a first date to a photo shoot, which I thought was just wild. But yeah, they're still seeing each other and it's moving forward. So they get together and go on a hike, and she's kind of asking him what the future is going to look like and if he wants to have a baby with her. You know, he definitely is interested in a serious relationship, but he doesn't want a baby right now. That works for Shara. It totally works for her. So she is ready to move forward. They do start talking about Noble, and Shara says, you know, she's really ready to let him go. She's ready to end things with him. So after this hiking scene, we move on to seeing Shara and Noble together, and they're in a comic book store. I guess that's a part of Noble's job. He sells he creates comic books, but then he has to go and try to like sell them to the comic book store or kind of promote himself, doing some marketing work. So she is with him and they are in a comic book store, and she basically, you know, ends things with him. I don't want to say that it's funny. It is funny. It's funny and sad at the same time. Clearly, Noble is not ready for things to end, but just the way the interaction was, I had to chuckle a few times because, you know, his reaction, he had a very funny reaction to it. He basically said he was being replaced, and he wanted to know what Patrick thought of Valentino. I'm sure he thought that Patrick wasn't going to like Valentino because Patrick didn't like him. But then Shara's like, no, Patrick likes him. So it was just, I had some moments where I had to laugh. But I think he's hurt, right? I think. He didn't cry. Shara cried. But I do think there's a part of him that wasn't ready to be replaced, as he said. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a clip here of him talking.
And
I didn't think I was going to be swapped out, you know. But
and I don't feel like it's a swap out. I just feel like this was just
that's because you're not getting swapped out. So of course you don't feel like that. And I'm just saying I feel like that.
Shara is definitely sad that she's ending it. She says it was the first person she was with when she opened up, when, you know, her and Patrick opened their relationship up. So she is sad to see it end. But I'm going to be honest with you. There is no way that Patrick was going to let Noble back into their lives. So she might as well have let him go anyway. Maybe he was just supposed to be like the starter other man. And now she gets to have something more serious. She can still care about him. But yeah, Patrick was not going to let Noble come back into their home. You know, they had him living in the basement. So to me, this was just something she needed to do. The next couple I want to talk about is Mike and Elisa. I do want to say something before I talk about this episode. Did you guys catch the part in the previous episode where Mike's mom said she found out that they were in an open relationship on social media? Like, she saw a post about Elisa dating on there and realized that their relationship had changed. I'm just like, that is a terrible way to break this news to your parents. You should have kept it off social media. Like, until you told them. They did not need to find out that way. So in the previous episode, they were talking about wanting to get their families together to talk more about them having an open, well, I shouldn't say an open relationship. Elisa was going to be seeing other people. They wanted to talk to their parents more about it, and they wanted to have a family day. So that is what happens in this episode. We see Mike's mother and Elisa's mom and dad get together at a vineyard so that they can sit down and talk about what happened. And man, I would not want to have this conversation with my mother. I would not want to have this. No, this is not a choice I would ever make in my life. I would have missed this family day. But we see them all get together, and basically Mike's mom is saying what I think a lot of viewers are thinking. Like, Mike did not choose this. Basically, Elisa cheated on him, and now he seems to be going along with it. At least that's how it feels as a viewer, and it feels that way to his mom. She's like, you would have not chosen to have done this if the circumstances had been different. You're just doing this because she cheated on you. And of course, Mike is denying that. He says it was basically his idea. And that's what Elisa keeps pointing out too. This was Mike's thing. It was Mike's idea. So my question is Mike dating other people and it's just not a part of the show? Like, why would this be Mike's idea? But anyway, that's what they keep trying to get us to believe, is his idea was just for her to date outside of their marriage. Mike's mom is not believing it. But during this conversation, when they're all sitting up there, the issue comes up of having children. And that just shows sort of another crack in their relationship. Elisa has shut that down, but you can tell Mike is not sure if he wants to have kids or not. Like, he's really open to the idea. He doesn't want them now, but I think he sees children in his future, and Elisa is like, no, it's not happening. So they literally are having this conversation, this moment in front of the parents, where they were just trying to convince them that they were all on the same page about Elisa dating. It just doesn't seem like they're seeing eye to eye about where their relationship is going. I'm going to go ahead and put in a clip of that conversation where they're talking about the kids or having kids.
I mean, kids aren't 100% out of the question.
No,
Yeah.
kids are out of the question.
If you're wondering how this all got brought up, it was because of Mike's mom. She basically said she didn't have time to ever consider looking outside of her marriage. She was working So she had stuff to do and she had children, so she had to take care of her kids. And then that brings up the kid issue. Mike is like, well, we might have kids at one point. And then Elisa just shuts him down. And you can see that his mom is hopeful there for a minute. She kind of has a look on her face like, oh, wow, maybe they're changing their minds, because they've clearly expressed to their parents they weren't having kids. But then, Elisa shuts that down quickly. Mike actually says, well, I don't want kids now, but, maybe in the future. And Elisa still makes it clear it is a no.
No. No.
Okay.
Elisa and I do not want kids.
Mike just comes off as a real pushover, and Elisa seems to be someone who will do what she has to do to get her way. And I'm wondering if Mike is really happy with some of the things that are happening in his life. And I am not surprised to hear that his mom has a problem with it. In the end, after they've sat there and talked as a family, they're all getting up to leave. And Mike goes and has a conversation with his mother, and it's just the two of them. And she really pushes a little bit more. She wants to know if this is really what he wants. Mike assures her that it is, but I have to tell you, it is hard to believe. There's also a confessional where he's talking, and he basically says that Elisa is shutting down the idea of having children. Like, they don't want them now, but it is still open for him. Like, he might want to have children in the future. They're just focusing on other things they want to do right now. So that is all we get from them for this episode. Let me know what you guys think about that. How are you feeling about Elisa and Mike? To me, this is the couple where it just doesn't add all up. Like, he does not seem into this. I know Elisa's adamant that he is, and he is too. He even says he wants this, but it does not feel that way. Last but definitely not least, we have Kenya, Carl, and Tiger. I have to tell you guys something. They actually impressed me quite a bit because, they're doing this and they all seem happy. Like, they all seem pretty much okay with what's going on. Now, I'm wondering what the future is going to look like with Tiger and Kenya. I think Tiger's wondering what the future is going to look like for them. But, like, overall, they don't seem so bad. Like, let me know if you agree or disagree with that. But I think they're doing this okay. Out of everyone on the show, I think they're the couple that has actually made this work. In this episode, we do see them sort of address the issues that Tiger has going on right now. Like, he's not feeling confident in the relationship. He seems a bit insecure about the new man that might be coming into the picture. He is feeling pushed aside. And so in this episode, they really address that. And what actually happens is Carl, he sort of works as the mediator. And so they are out shopping. It's Kenya and Carl. And Carl just starts talking to Kenya about how Tiger feels. And he says, you know what? You really need to do this commitment ceremony. You need to do this for Tiger. So he doesn't feel pushed aside. And Kenya really listens to him. She seems to respect when Carl's talking to her. She seems to listen to what he says. And it seems like this conversation changes things for her. She was not wanting to do a commitment ceremony before, but this conversation seems to help her understand what Tiger is feeling.
That I do agree with Tiger in terms of the ceremony being important.
Mm. So he's telling her about this and she's listening, and she definitely seems to change her mind. But I'm going to tell you what my one issue with Kenya is, and that is her reasoning for bringing in new partners. And basically it's when things start to fizzle, someone else is going to come along. And I just wonder, how long do you do that? How many times do you do that? This worked with Tiger and Carl. I mean, she's adding in this new partner. She's adding in David. Like, how do you keep this up? Like, every so many years when things fizzle out, you bring in someone new. So listen to her talk about that. I'm going to put in a clip where she talks about how things are going with her and Tiger and why she wants to bring in a new person.
Tiger and I, we used to just be wild bunnies and hopping all over each other. We just wake up, say good morning, and go about our day.
She basically says when they, transition to that next phase where that passion is not there the way it used to be, it's time to move him into, I guess, his new role and then get someone new she does have all that passion with. It just seems like a lot to keep going, and like you're going to end up with a few more people. And there's actually a part where she says, yeah, I think we're going to need a bigger house. And she says that to Tiger because Tiger wants to know if David's going to be moving in. To Kenya, it's a possibility. He might be moving in. So from this shopping scene, we move over to Tiger and her taking a walk together, and he's asking all these questions like, what is going to happen? Is David moving in? What's that look like? And Kenya basically says it's a possibility. Like, it could happen. And you can tell he's not really sure that is something he wants. He doesn't seem to know if he wants David around and in the house and there being a new partner for her. But it quickly moves from that to Kenya proposing to Tiger. So she like literally gets down on one knee and proposes to have a commitment ceremony to him.
Would you have a commitment ceremony with me?
Yes! Yes!
So I need to know what you guys think. When I was watching that, I was like, this is not serious. Like, she doesn't look like she's being serious about it. But then afterwards, she stands up and it is a bit more serious. She talks about how much she loves him and how she wants that sort of commitment with him and how serious it is to her. And she gives him a ring. But when she was doing it, it didn't feel serious. I don't know. I want to know if I was reading it wrong. Let me know in the comments what you think. And that is it. That is a little bit about everyone on the show. If there's something I missed, let me know in the comments. If there's something you think I got wrong, I don't mind hearing that too. So leave the comments below. And if you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. I hope you come back to Happily Ever Reality.